Ultimatum comes out first. But Clint is going to be spotted, and the flash comes in. Doran in a lot of trouble. Let's see if he can outplay this one. 2-on-1. Absolutely not. As Khan, that key to the victory you were talking about, picks up first blood.
And it's a huge pickup for the Camille. It sets the tone in top lane now. And it comes at a point where now Doran, he's going to have to commit his teleport back into top lane. Khan, if he plays it right, can actually save it by getting a recall off, returning to top lane just by walking. And then he has the teleport available for the Mountain Dragon, which can be really big. Camille getting ahead and accelerating, not something Griffin want to have happen.
And sometimes you read too far into some small quirks of a game and ascribe too much value to them. I actually think that was a really big moment this game. Chovy's actually continuing to win the trades against Faker, because remember how we were talking about how everything was warded. They went to every expense, no expense spared by Griffin, to back up Doran on the top side, and Khan was so decisive in a way that Griffin were unable to be in game number one. They find an advantage even when gaining the maximum in areas where maybe the scaling or the game state didn't necessarily suit them. So we're looking to Griffin to actually get more, and so far we've been left wanting.
Well, speaking of left wanting, Clid.
We could see it here, though. Gonna charge down the lane, and they are absolutely looking for this one. Cannon Barrage comes in. Gonna miss on that one, but the Hextech Ultimatum comes in. The 2v1. Where's the damage? Finally it comes out, as it takes a while. But either way, they do end up picking up the kill.
But in that while, Griffin aren't achieving anything with their numbers advantage. It's a free send 2 members bot lane, including the Smite, and there was not even a modicum of threat or aggro or trading of objectives done by Team Griffin in that time.
And all that it means is that Camille, she's going to get further and further ahead. A turret is going to go down. SK Telecom are that much closer to evening the gold score. On the gold score, it benefits Griffin right now if a 5v5 would break out, but it doesn't really matter. This game is gravitating towards that threshold of Griffin is going to lose their advantage of the mid-rangey type of team composition. Their champions are going to taper off. And eventually, Akali, Camille, they're going to become too scary for Ashe and Silas to handle, and Gangplank's just going to be left wanting.
I don't want to watch this play on the screen. I want to watch the minimap. You know your bot laner is going to die eventually. What do you do with that time? The Tonkan's just nowhere in position to look for an Abyssal Voyage.
Quite literally the best possible role, and truly a skillful display of talent by SKT to manage to roll this dragon here in game number 2. It's the worst possible Drake for Griffin. In SKT, they don't need any more advantages.
And you know what will be the worst possible decision? Eyes up, let's watch this play.
Oh, Teddy went into the one-on-one, and they're able to bait Tarzan into this. The arrow going to do nothing, but here comes Chovy from the left side. Tarzan able to do a nice amount of damage, but it doesn't matter. Griffin, they lost their 80 carry in the entire trade. Tom Kent not able to do anything to save Viper's life.
Well, it does look like SKT, they're going to turn their attention
they just got
to
that
the
Baron
Baron. And remember, they have a Mountain Drake. Tarzan, he's not around, he's running. Abyssal Voyage.
Tarzan trying to get in there, but they're not close enough. The Smite's going to come down. And SKT, they just solidified their mid-game, and they're ahead. Teddy's already got QSS. Nothing they can do there. The Mountain Drake able to help them over the line, and now SKT has a full grasp on this game.
Every play SKT makes is measured. They know what the ultimate objective is behind the setup. Meanwhile, Griffin are taking the scraps, but those scraps are in no way compensating for the delicious banquet that SKT is putting together. This would be another consecutive best-of-5 victory. Remember, they sacrificed a Cloud Drake for Baron setup. They use Ezreal's Power Spike to choke out and poke out the Ashe, and from here, the upside is real.
Man.
Well, they don't call him General Teddy, especially with the fed solo lanes of SKT. And the lack of any big objective for Griffin to make their comp work in the mid-game, especially after losing the Baron. It's looking good for SKT here.
Comprehensive destruction so far. Really, really well coached.
All right, trying to make a play here in the mid lane. Effort getting pretty low, but they can't even kill the damn support with everybody trying to get on top of them. And meanwhile, just what we were talking about, those solo lanes, they're pushing in hard.
1-3-1 is there,
Oh,
Chovy.
Faker wants to say see you later, but he's under Shroud, and Chovy is actually going to outplay him. There you go. Able to shut up the SKT fans on the push as he does win that 1v1.
Only for a second, though. They will lose that inhibitor turret for it, and SKT fans have seen their god fall multiple times in lane. Hasn't mattered too much in the playoffs so far.
Definitely hasn't, as the mid inhibitor turret was broken wide open. And I love what SKT are doing right now. They're taking the Ocean Dragon at 29.5 minutes. It prevents Elder Dragon, which is Griffin's only out. The only possible objective that could come up that would let their team composition go toe-to-toe.
And the amusing thing was, my point earlier before we had a bit of action injected was, the worst thing Griffin could do was not wait till after 30, because they would not want to rush it down, because they want the Elder to spawn as soon as possible. The Elder now spawning later means you have to fight the scaling comp around Baron. You ain't getting the trade you want on the bottom side of the map.
Chovy, we saw there in the outplay of the 1v1, he dodged so much damage. I think he even dashed away from the second part of the perfect execution. He Zonya's the Shuriken from the Akali. And even though it started off good for the Akali Faker, you have to make sure you're factoring in everything Silas has into his kit. Speaking of which, everybody's trying to gank the Camille now. As we're all on the bottom side, 4-on-1. This isn't exactly fair. He's trying to get the one kill, but it's not going to happen. And there's no Baron on the opposite side of the map for SKT to take.
And it's a really heavy investment. You bring all the members down into bottom, and you end up killing the Camille, and then you ask yourself, what did it cost you? And, well, the answer may not be everything. It's still a top tier 2 turret and a cannon wave. So it actually ends up being beneficial for SKT.
The one thing you can say is it's far enough away from Baron that you don't lose any real crucial Baron status changes around whether you can contest it or not. So with how far behind they were, it's a possible play. It's just not a play that actually improves your standing in the game.
Yeah, just look at the mini-map while this is happening. 2 control wards are up for the taking. Faker getting a solo wave, which was a cannon wave, in addition to a top tier 2 turret. Trade is not worth it for Griffin.
Well, they weren't going to get a better one, LS.
That's, you know what? You're a glass half full kind of guy. I can tell. It's all right.
The Aussies seem to be on that side of the
Something about
map.
these Australians, Valdez. Yeah. To tell them about the American.
The American way, the glass half empty way.
Yeah.
Feels,
or there is no
feels
glass.
Weird, man.
Oh, man.
Well, awkward spot here for Griffin. They make the play, they get the kill. But Khan's about to get his TP up. We do have Baron spawning here in 20 minutes. Griffin making every effort here to just try to get as much vision around this objective, as everybody knows this is the one to watch for the next couple of minutes.
Doran, no interest in laning against Camille any more than he has to. Trying to make some pressure on the top side. See how SKT responds here. Chovy holding on to the Sejuani ult.
Doran's starting it. He's just going for it.
Oh,
The
they're all in.
is not going to clear out that one. He's going to take out the turret, and Griffin going for the Baron here. Can they get it? It's going to be up to Clid. He's going to get in there, and it goes to the Braum! Effort gets in there and spites it away at level 14. How is he able to do it? This time it's not Clid, but it's still SKT. And the team fight afterwards is done. And we've all seen this video before. It's like a recording. Khan is going to end the game once again on the split push. We're going to a 2-0 lead now to SKT. Griffin go all in, and the cards are up on the table. SKT win again.
And just like Damwon Gaming, in this game,
Somewhat weak mental states were Griffin and maybe, some of the more inconsistent teams. Not necessarily Sandbox and Damwon, but they fell apart like a house of cards. They just collapsed. And now Griffin is kind of showing more of the same. It feels like SKT's reign here in Korea, it doesn't feel like it's over.